Welcome to this on-demand demo class about one of the most powerful tools for understanding the world around us, which is economics. I'm really glad you're here, whether you're a high school student thinking about your future, a parent curious about what your child will be learning, or someone who just wants to understand how the world works a little better. When most people hear the word economics, they picture confusing graphs, stock markets, or long lectures. But economics is not just for Wall Street bankers or policymakers in Tokyo. It's for you. It's about real life. Every single day, you make economic decisions, whether you realize it or not. Should I save this money or spend it now? Should I take a part-time job or focus on studying more? Why are pay prices going up at the supermarkets? Why is rent so expensive in my city? Economics is the study of choices. We live in a world where we cannot have everything. So we have to make decisions about how we use our time, our money, energy, and resources. That's what economics helps us understand. In this class, I'll walk you through a 10-question quiz on everyday economic concepts. Don't worry, this isn't a test. It's just a way for you to explore how economists think and how those ideas connect directly to your life, your family, and your future. You might be surprised by how much you already know and how much more sense the world makes when you start to think like an economist. So let's dive into our first question. When good weather in Akita increases the rice harvest, the result is higher quantity and lower prices, higher quantity and higher prices, lower quantity and lower prices, and don't know. So please feel free to pause a little bit and think about those 4 questions. When farmers in Akita have good weather, they produce more rice. This is an increase in supply of rice. Now, what happens when the supply of a good increases faster than people's demand for it? The price usually falls because sellers are competing in order to sell more, and buyers will have more choices. So the correct answer is going to be A, higher quantity and lower prices. Did you get it correctly? Think about how fruits become cheaper in season. Strawberries are everywhere in spring, so prices of strawberries will fall. That's supply and demand in action. So let's look at the second question. A person who uses a new idea to bring out a product or service to the marketplace is known as A manager, B, bureaucrat, C, entrepreneur, D, don't know. And again, feel free to pause a little bit and think about the 4 options. An entrepreneur is someone who takes risks to turn ideas into reality. They're not just inventing, they're organizing people, finding funding, and bringing something new to the market and also to the world. They could be launching a tech company, opening a bakery, or building a mobile application. So the key idea here is innovation plus risk. And the correct answer is going to be C, an entrepreneur. You can think of famous people like Elon Musk, starting Tesla, or just a student who creates an online store to sell handmade crafts. Both are considered as entrepreneurs. So you don't really have to be famous or rich in order to be an entrepreneur. Everybody can be an entrepreneur. Next question, number 3. An increase from 0% to 0.5% in the interest rates by banks would most likely encourage A. People to save money, B. People to borrow money, C. People to withdraw money, and D. Don't know. Again, please feel free to pause it and think a bit about the 4 options. When banks raise interest rates, they offer more reward for saving your money with a bank because you're going to earn more interest. At the same time, loans become a bit more expensive, making people think twice before borrowing. So, higher interest rates usually mean more saving and less borrowing. Therefore, the correct answer is going to be A. People to save money. When the central bank wants people to cool down spending, like during inflation, it may raise interest rates in order to encourage saving and slow borrowing. Next question, let's look at number 4. For most people, the largest portion of their personal income comes from A. Interest from stocks and bonds they own, B. Wages and salaries from their jobs, C. Rent paid to them from property they own, D. Don't know. And again, please feel free to pause a bit and think about the 4 options. Well, it's great to invest for own property. Most people earn money by working, as you can imagine. Whether that's in an office, a shop, a school, or a factory, that's their salary or wage. So the correct answer is going to be B, wages and salaries from their jobs. For most families, financial health depends on stable jobs and fair wages, not just investments or property income, which usually come later in life. We're almost reaching half of the questions, so let's look at number 5. What word would apply if the total amount of yen spent in Japan went up, but the goods and services consumed remained just the same? A. Deflation. B. Recession. C. Inflation. D. Don't know. And again, please feel free to pause a bit and think about the 4 options. This situation, described in question 5, is called demand pull inflation. Imagine lots of people suddenly have more money to spend, but there are not more goods being produced. What happens then? Sellers are going to raise prices because demand is high and supply is fixed. So the correct answer is going to be C, inflation. You can also think about this case. If there are only 10 concert tickets and 100 people are trying to buy them, the price, of course, for the concert tickets are going to go up. That's inflation caused by high demand. So we call this kind of inflation demand pull inflation. Next question, let's look at number 6. Think about the quantity of plums and apples, so both of them are fruits, that people want to buy in the market. If the price of plums doubled and the price of apples stayed the same, what would happen to these quantities? A. Plums up, apples down. B. Plums down, apples up. C. Both plums and apples the same as before. And D. Don't know. So please pay attention that here when we talk about ups and downs, we're always referring to the quantities of plums and apples. So again, please feel free to pause a bit and think about the 4 options. If plums get more expensive, many people will look for a cheaper alternative. In this case, we only have 2 fruits, so the alternative will be apples. As a result, people are going to buy fewer plums and more apples. This is called the substitution effect. People are going to substitute more expensive plums with relatively cheaper apples. So the correct answer is going to be B, plums down, apples up. You can also think about this case. If gasoline gets expensive, more people will start to buy electric scooters or electric cars, or will just choose to take public transportations like trains. When prices change, behavior changes too. So human behaviors are going to be affected by prices in the market. We have 4 more questions to go. So number 7, if your city government sets a maximum amount that landlords can charge in rent, what is the most likely result? A. There will be more apartments available than people want to rent. B. There will be fewer apartments available than people want to rent. C. The amount of apartments available will be equal to the amount people want to rent. And D. Don't know. Again, please feel free to pause a bit and think about the 4 options. Setting a rent cap is called a price ceiling. This can sound helpful, but it can backfire. If rent is too low, landlords might stop renting, stop maintaining apartments, or even convert them into something else. That might create housing shortages. So for number 7, the correct answer is going to be B. There will be fewer apartments available than people want to rent because it's not as profitable as before from the landlord's perspective. You can also think about this. If someone told you to sell your phone for half price, would you do that? Probably not. The same logic applies to landlords in question 7. Next question, number 8. If the Japanese government restricts the imports of sugar into Japan, who is likely to benefit? A. Consumers of products that use sugar in Japan. B. Sugar producers in Japan. C. Producers that use sugar as a raw material in Japan. And D. Don't know. So again, please feel free to pause a little bit and think about the 4 options. When the country limits imports, it's often to protect local industries. So in this case, Japanese sugar producers would benefit because they face less competition from abroad. However, consumers and candy or drink companies will lose because they have to pay more in order to buy the same amount of sugar as before. So the correct answer is B. Sugar producers in Japan. This is actually called the protectionism. It will be good for some parties in the country, but bad for others in the country. 2 more questions to go. Number 9. Why do people in all societies have to make choices about how to use resources? A. Resource owners are greedy. B. Resources used in the production of goods and services are limited. C. Consumers of resources are irrational. And D. Don't know. So again, please feel free to pause a little bit and think about the 4 options. This is the foundation of economics that is known as scarcity. We live in a world with limited resources, not enough time, not enough money, not enough land, not enough energy for everything we want. So we make choices, and those choices have trade-offs. So for this question, the correct answer is going to be B. Resources used in the production of goods and services are limited. Choosing to study for a test means giving up some gaming time, for example. That's an economic decision you have to make. Either you want to choose to study for the test, as a return, there is a higher opportunity or higher likelihood that you're going to have a higher grade in the test. Or you can choose to use the same time to have game, to play video games, for example, which might make you happy at that time, but will risk the likelihood that you might have a lower grade in the test. Okay, so we're reaching the final question in this small test. Number 10. Which of the following would reduce inequity of income in Japan? A. Increase use of technology that makes professionals more productive. B. Improvement of schools serving lower income populations. C. Increased international trade in manufactured goods. D. Don't know. So feel free to pause a little bit and think about the 4 options. Education is one of the best tools to reduce inequity. If more students in low-income areas have access to high-quality education, they can gain skills and get better jobs, and in the future, they're able to earn more. So the correct answer is going to be B, improvement of schools serving lower income populations. We know that education opens doors. The more prepared you are, the more options you have, and that reduces income gaps in countries all over the world, and also among countries in the world. And that's it. 10 questions that cover some of the most important ideas in economics. We talked about supply and demand and how prices move depending on how much of something is available in the market. We also looked at entrepreneurs, people who bring new ideas into the market and into the world. We explored how interest rates affect saving and borrowing in the country, and we discussed big picture topics like inflation, education, rent control, and income inequity. What do all these topics have in common? They are about choices. Yours, mine, and societies. Economics gives us a way to understand how those choices are made and how they affect our society and our world. I hope this demo class helped you to see that economics is not just about money. It's about how we solve problems, how we create value, how we build fairer and more productive communities. If you're a student, know that studying economics will give you skills that are useful in any career, whether you're planning to be a business leader, an engineer, a designer, a policymaker, or even an artist. Understanding how incentives work, how to think critically about trade offs, and how systems interact is incredibly valuable for you. And if you're a parent watching this, you've seen just a glimpse of how this subject can empower your child with practical knowledge that lasts a lifetime. So I encourage you to keep asking questions, stay curious, and if you enjoyed this session, I'd love to welcome you to a full economics course where you go even deeper into personal finance, global trade, behavioral economics, and much more. So, thanks again for spending your time with me. Stay sharp, stay curious, and keep thinking economically.